Oh, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Chris the Dom One, and I am back with another video. You know what you got to do, folks. Rate, comment, subscribe. Uh, Hit the notification bell so it'll let you know when my next video or live stream goes down. Now, I sort of teased this yesterday, and I wanted to talk about uh Glasses Malone, his music video and his song about Tupac Must Die, and the Breakfast Club interview where he basically talked about the song, the premise behind the song, and a lot of people when they tell the story about Tupac, they only tell it from his angle, and he thought the perspective was better from the people who got jumped on. Particularly when Tupac, Suge, and the Death Row, when Death Row jumped on, and I forgot the guy's name, jumped on him at the casino. He was basically telling it from that perspective. And the one thing I want to say first is, by this video is not a diss at Glasses Malone. It's not a diss at his work. But I could understand when he did the Breakfast Club interview, he was talking about how people thought it was disrespectful from him to basically come with the, not the concept, but the ideal of Tupac must die. Okay, and before I get into what I'm about to say, first of all, I can tell you the reason why he came up with that concept, Tupac must die. You know, he could have approached it a lot of different ways, but the magnitude wouldn't be as strong as, the Tupac must die theme. And that's what everybody's gravitating to, the Tupac must die. Okay, so already people are upset and they want to know more about it. Particularly on social media, you get so many hits by labeling it Tupac must die. Okay, I felt like creatively I didn't I thought he could came up with other topics or label it or name it something else. Okay, and gotten the same probably gotten the same type of response of what he's getting today, particularly when he does the car wash. And when people say they're doing the car wash, going to a bunch of radio shows promoting, an artist go to all these radio shows to promote their work and promote their projects. And I felt like by him just doing that, getting the word out, particularly on social media, that the magnitude of this would blow up instead of using Tupac must die. Right, so that's the only disclaimer I have about the video and about the song. I thought it was very clever, particularly, and I'm talking about the song and the video, telling it from a different perspective. And when I felt like too, it was more informational than the All Eyes on Me movie. I wasn't a huge fan of the All Eyes on Me movie. I felt like they dropped the ball on that movie. Now, they picked a perfect actor to play Tupac, okay? But I felt like the storytelling just wasn't up to par, in my opinion, all right? So, back to Glasses Malone. I don't know why I want to call this cat Post Malone, but it's Glasses Malone. I keep thinking Post Malone, Glasses Malone. All right. So I like the creative side of things. How he was, telling the story from a different perspective that a lot of people really don't know about, and I have no issues with that. The only issues I had as far as with the song itself is the title of the song. I thought it was a little rigid. I thought I could understand why people looked at it as being disrespectful. Okay, Daz did not like this. Snoop did not like it, but he kind of co-signed along with Glasses Malone. Okay, sort of. everybody that was affiliated with Tupac really do not like they already turned off by not even, listening to the song or watching the video to understand where he was coming from. They already upset at the name itself, Tupac Must Die. So, but the reason why he labeled it, like I said earlier, he wanted that buzz, he wanted those clicks. If he would have named it anything else, it probably would have been gone unnoticed. Okay, and like I said, I like the concept. I like the storytelling aspect from the song and the video. I thought he did a great job on that. But like I said, my issue as far as the project goes is the label of the project. Now, secondly, and this is where we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this live stream. When he did the interview on the Breakfast Club, he was talking about, and I felt like he was on point from the concept, from nobody's not talking from the from a different perspective, particularly about that Vegas shooting. I thought he was authentic and on point with that. However, I felt like a lot of people did not pay attention to that aspect until later on in the interview. He talked about how Tupac, he really didn't blow up until he got around Death Row, most notably Snoop Dogg. Okay, I felt like when he said that, he lost all his credibility when he said that. About hip hop. First of all, Tupac before Death Row, when you look at his career and look at the songs he generated before even signing to Death Row, he was he was a man of his own in the hip hop world. He did Dear Mama, he did Trap, he did Me Against the World, Holla If You Hear Me, I Get Around. Okay, Tupac was already big. His name was already big in the hip hop world. Plus, on top of that, a great actor. Came from I forgot the school's name, where he went to learn how to act. And the same school had Jada Pinkett Smith and others there. So he was. If you look at Tupac before Death Row, Tupac was already successful. Everybody knew Tupac. All right. Tupac, when you look at his music, if you only look at Tupac as an artist in the music world, Tupac already had multiple hit singles. Tupac already had multiple successful albums before Death Row. Now, when he signed with Death Row, a lot of people forget to talk about this aspect when he signed to Death Row. The reason why he signed to Death Row, because remember, guys, he was locked up. He was locked up. And he signed that deal with Death Row because at that time, no label company did not want to fool with Tupac. Because if you sign Tupac, you have to be responsible for Tupac's actions, so to say. And what he did, what happened, it was bad enough, the shooting, and he accused Biggie of doing that. That was already, the shooting when he was in the studio, and labels didn't even want to, mess with him at that particular time. What made it worse was when he went to that nightclub, got accused of, sexual assault, and that really rubbed a lot of label companies the wrong way. And Tupac was just, you just couldn't touch him. And particularly when he got charged and accused for it, went to prison for it. Okay, and when you look at that particular part, you can't sit up here and say justice justice was served. Okay, I felt like a lot of things were pinned against Tupac that there was no way in the world he could have gotten out of that. All right. And I'm not talking about the sexual misconduct. I'm not talking about the sexual assault. I'm just putting that aside when you look at how they proceed in the legal sense when they was charging him. That was agenda. There was a bigger force that wanted that movement pushed and wanted him to go to prison. Okay, so record companies, label companies did not want to touch or sign Tupac. And at that time, Tupac, when he went to jail, Me Against the World came out. So many tears. Y'all got to realize when that album came out, there was like 3 or 4 bangers in that album. And if he didn't go to prison, and if he could have, advertised that album, if he was a free man and he could have done videos and promoted the album, went on tour, that album could have received, some Grammys. Okay, that's how influenced that album was. Okay, but we missed out on it because Tupac was at that time in prison, and when he was in prison, that's when all his ties around music, pretty much music turned his back on him, turned their backs on Tupac. Nobody didn't want to get Tupac out of prison. All right. And if you really understand hip hop, there was artists and labels that wanted Tupac in prison so they could eat. Okay, but that's another video for another time. So when he was in prison, that's when he got a connection with Suge, and then that's when Death Row, he signed the infamous contract in prison. And when he got out of prison, he blew up with the double album, All Eyes on Me. Is it All Eyes on Me? Anyway, he came out with that double album, and he blew up with that album. All right. So Tupac before Death Row, he was a very successful hip hop artist. Tupac after Death Row still, I felt like a lot of people like Glasses Malone and younger people, particularly in this generation, you guys only know Tupac from Death Row and Machiavelli. All right, and a bunch of other albums that was published when Tupac died. I think you guys gravitate on that timeline, but you guys don't gravitate on Brenda's Got a Baby. A lot of you young cats don't know that Tupac was had a strong influence in the hip hop community. Okay, so it's like reading a book. You guys only read the last 3 chapters of the book. There's plenty of chapters that you guys have not touched or even know about. All right. So when Glasses Malone said that kind of hit me the wrong way. Like, wait a minute. First I was giving him credit because of the way how he with the Tupac Must Die video and music, I was giving him credit on the concept of it. I did not like how he labeled it, how he named it. I could understand how people took offense of it. When you talk about Tupac's friends, family, Tupac's fan base, I understand why they're mad at why Glasses Malone labeled it Tupac Must Die. But you guys also have to realize he was trying, when you're trying to get your stuff heard, you're going to have to make it sound sort of edgy, sort of rough, sort of controversial. Okay, and that's why it's got so many hits, and so many people have watched the video and listened to the song. Okay, but besides that, I was getting him credit for that. But when in the Breakfast Club, when he talked about how Tupac wasn't really on and popping until he was paired up with Snoop, I thought, like, wait a minute, where is this coming from? Because, and I'm not dissing Snoop, but to me, Snoop's best work, Snoop's best projects is when Dr. Dre was producing him. those Death Row albums, surpass anything that Snoop has done after that. Okay, and a lot of rappers, they can't never get away from surpassing their earlier stuff. Okay, and that's what rappers do nowadays. They try to they try to do better than their first project, because they don't want to be they don't want, at the end of the day, when their career is said and done, they don't want to be a one-hit wonder. They don't want to be, well, your only best album was your first album. So they're trying to chase and surpass their first album. Not a lot of rappers, not a lot of singers, not a lot of rock stars get the opportunity to surpass their first project. And Tupac not only surpassed his first project, but continue to bless us with great music and great albums. Okay, thoughtful albums. The Holler If You Hear Me. If you his first two projects, he was sort of on that Public Enemy type of vibe, trying to inform the black community of the things that plague us in our communities. Okay, he was Black Lives Matter before Black Lives Matter even existed. Tupac in his earlier days of his music. Okay, and then he evolved into the thug life, and I feel like a lot of people, the reason why they like Tupac, the thug life Tupac, because of of his work in the movies when he came out with Above the Rim. Okay, that's really got him going, and a lot of people, that's when he started rolling with this narrative of thug life. And even though his mom was a Black Panther and he was raised in that type of community, if you listen to his earlier work, you would get the vibe and get the sense of him in that type of light. All right. And if you look at his early work to what he did with Death Row, it's like night and day. All right. You would think that was a different person that did those projects. Okay. So I think Glasses Malone, to me, when people don't understand hip hop to the point of the early days of hip hop, they don't understand that if those artists did not exist, hip hop today would not be what it is today. And you have to learn your history. I understand, and like, I don't have nothing against Glasses Malone. I think Glasses Malone, when you look at his project, I understood why he took that approach, because that was a story nobody was talking about, the other side. Okay, I get that point. But when you go on the Breakfast Club and you say Tupac was was only big when he was around Snoop, that tells me that you really don't know or got a good grasp of the hip hop community. And then you went on the Breakfast Club, and then you asked DJ Envy and Charlemagne the God, and I like Charlemagne the God, but when it comes to hip hop music, I think he doesn't understand a lot of hip hop music, where it's going, where it's been. Okay, he understands the culture out, the hip hop culture. He understands what's trending, what's popping, what's not. Okay, he understands those aspects, but when it comes to the music, I think Charlemagne the God has a hard time understanding it. Okay, DJ Envy, when he asked them to, he said, well, name me 3 Tupac songs, and they couldn't name them. They literally had to go Google them. Okay, so that just shows you right there that they're not even, I mean, it's not about being a Tupac fan, it's about being a hip-hop fan. Okay, I I like Rakim. I can name you 3 Rakim songs. Okay, I like I don't like Tekashi 6ix9ine, but I can name you some Tekashi 6ix9ine songs. there's a lot of artists I do not like, okay, personally, but I can still tell you that their song, their album, because because I embrace hip hop music, okay. But I felt like Charlamagne the God, I mean, asking them to, and I'm gonna give a pass to DJ Envy. DJ Envy should have known I get around, okay? Me against the world. And another thing about Tupac, his battle rapping was on point. He was very savage when he did his battle rap. He was really cutthroat. He was 50 Cent before 50 Cent. When he did the Hit 'Em Up rap disc and the video, I mean, nobody was doing that, okay? He was so savage and on point with that, okay? But I mean, it's not that hard to figure out Tupac's impact in the hip hop music, in the hip hop culture. A lot of these rappers that are in movies, past and the present and in the future, some of you guys need to pay homage to Tupac, okay? Because not only Tupac was in movies and in projects like that, he went to a school to learn how to act. He was really acting, okay? A lot of these guys, when they get these roles for these pictures, for these movies and stuff like that, they just go in, read a few lines, and they don't ad-lib, they don't have the charisma to make the role better. They just sort of go in as themselves, okay? Ice Cube, I think Ice Cube is a great rapper. He is a great rapper, but a great actor. I think Tupac is a great actor. There's only a few in hip hop that I consider that can multitask and do other things. Okay, so that's all I got for today. I kind of wanted to touch on that subject. I wanted to touch on it. Oh, and to let you guys know, I'm probably going to do maybe 2 or 3 videos a week. Your boy's mad busy. If you catch me on iTunes, if you notice I haven't uploaded anything on my podcast, it's because of the fact that your boy's just mad busy. So I'm probably gonna do my podcast once a week and probably do YouTube 1 or 2, 3 videos a week, maybe 2 videos a week. It's your boy. I'm out. I'll holler at y'all when I see y'all. Peace. I appreciate everyone that's watching. Hit the like button, okay? Hit the subscription and hit the notification bell, all right? See y'all guys. Have a blissful day. Peace.